Hello, my name is Tim Bernard, and this is Beyond the Headlines, where we take a much different, much more in-depth look at what is really going on in our world, which is not what the propaganda ministers tell us about. And almost anyone who's at all awake realizes that the media is nothing but bought-off whores. And we cannot cover even all the news I have before me, and all of it that I have on my website with links to plenty more websites. So I'd urge you to go there and get yourself educated. And let's get right into it, that we are coming to you from Global Region 1, Subdistrict 10. Yes, the world has been cut up, and we have some draconian news that we're going to cover today as this beast system just continues to unfold, or whatever you want to call it, a totalitarian system. That is what it is. And of course, these people, Fox News now is beginning to tell you a little bit about it, because they're on the other side, the fake right side, because it's like Joseph Goebbels, a propaganda minister for the Nazis, said. It's the media's job to make it appear like there's a left and a right, hiding the fact that it's really just the one path. The board of directors doesn't change. It's only the players that we get to throw the darts at, who they keep throwing up there in front of us. And on this subject, one of the articles we have is about CISPA and the attack on the internet, which is huge. And like I've said, the day will come when they'll take this down, and they'll take down my website. But for now we have it, and the other alternative news websites, because that's also part of the plan. No one's going to be able to say that they weren't warned. They looked the other way. And that is sin, my friends, as we've gone into plenty of times, but we are the resistance. The V from the Vietnam War, also the V from the French partisans in World War II who would mark a V places. Here's this poor little girl from Syria. We were able to back off the bombing from Syria after the fake gas attack. I mean, you have to ask yourself, when this stuff goes on, who benefits? Who benefits from that gas attack? Was there any way Assad was going to benefit from that? Hell no. And the Syrian rebels have been caught gassing. And what came about? Oh, we're just going to run right in and go with them. We caused the civil war. Not that Assad was great. He's better than his father. And he's better than who the international money changers want to put in power. Here's a little child that starved to death over there from that conflict. Here's another thing. That's an Al-Qaeda sign, because, I mean, it's openly been reported that Al-Qaeda is the main controlling faction over there. But of course, they work for the banksters. We've told you that many times. But if you're new, you can check it out. We've got tons of it. And what this article is about here, this is a doctor who's, let's see, who's talking about, he says, from the first patients that came in the morning, you could almost tell what you would see for the rest of the day. It was a game. This war surgeon, Dr. Knott, told the Times. One day it would be shots to the groin. The next it would be only to the left chest. The day after we would see no chest wounds. They were all neck wounds. And as we see, this little child took a bullet in the head in a pregnant mother. Yeah, they were shooting pregnant mothers, children. This is a disgusting. But where's the outcry against it? Well, of course, Republicans never met a war they didn't like. And of course, the Democrats, It's cool as long as we're fighting the war. They're not going to speak out against their man, Obama. But Jesus knows what's going on. There will be hell to pay when this is all done. From many of our leaders, both secular and religious, who are at least acquiescence by their silence and refusing to take unpopular stands. And of course, no one talks about just how demonic everything is. That's Bohemian Grove, where they do a mock sacrifice of a child every summer on that altar. And they were all there just a couple months ago, month and a half ago. This is right from their own anal. This is where they bring that child in effigy. That's the altar, and there's Molech right out of the Old Testament. Yep. Hey, but the wolves are going to come in sheep's clothing. And it's going to get really crazy as they bring us down incrementally. What's this about? This is about some euthanasia. Belgium may become, they were the second country to legalize euthanasia. Oh, but that's not enough. No, and we've talked about this before, about them talking about it. Well, now there's actually a law before the Belgian Parliament to euthanize children. That's right. And the bill introduced by the Socialist Party in December would lay out guidelines for doctors to decide on a case-by-case basis whether or not a child is mature enough to make the decision to end his or her own life. Oh, wait a minute. What happened to the parents? And you people who love healthcare, let's take a look at what these people are really like. Listen to this clip of that traitorous whore Pelosi and our Attorney General and this witch on MSNBC. This is what's coming. This is what you're all buying into. Now listen to this.
So what I've asked is that the creative community in Washington, those ad agencies that create these snappy ads and make me buy things that I don't really need, devote that talent in a more constructive way so we can get at the minds of these young people so that they'll see these ads and they'll be grabbed by these ads. I've also asked people who have influence over youngsters, entertainers, athletes, to be involved in this program as well. But not only them, community leaders. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it, away from the fog of the controversy.
Because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their family.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it, away from the fog of the controversy.
In their own words. And this is what it's leading to. I mean, it's pathetic what's going on, and that people are not speaking out against this. Preachers, I mean, this one deacon goes, "Oh, I'll stand with you." What a pile of crap. You're a used car salesman. You'll do whatever you think is best, what's ever popular. And why do I know that? Because it's what you've been doing your whole life. You're a disgrace. You should retire and get on your knees and beg for forgiveness. But that's what we were warned about. What's this? In the White Horse in the Yukon, a Bishop Gordon obeys the government order to remove Catholic school teaching on sinfulness of homosexual acts. And it's not that the globalists give a damn about homosexuals. They're just being used to divide the people from God. And that's what's going on. I don't always clear the temple, but when I do, I make my own whip. And who did he get rid of? Who did Jesus complain about the most and gets violent about? The money changers who run our country, who run the world, who everyone sucks up to. And who is second in line? All those who support them, including religious leaders. You should take this as a warning. Now, the jury's out on Pope Francis. He's been very smart to align himself with our Virgin of Fatima. I'm hoping that it's a person who follows him who will almost for sure be very bad news. Because Our Lady of Fatima's warnings 100 years ago, 95 or 96 now to be exact, are about to really culminate, along with so many other prophecies that have been just coming together here. And let's take a look at some of the pathetic news we have now. Let's see, we have, well, from St. Francis, the Church is not a humanitarian agency or an NGO. We would do well to use Mary as our model. Mary is united to Christ in the martyrdom of her heart. The issue, another article that we have is the issue has always been that Planned Parenthood wanted to hold up the scalp of the only prosecutor that ever prosecuted them. And they went after this prosecutor who went after him, because that's what they do. I mean, and we fund them hundreds of millions of dollars to do that. We have Christianity in the world is the world's most persecuted religion, a new report says. Let's see, the moral decay of America. Pop star Keisha says her vagina is haunted. And we've done stuff about how demonic she is. And it wouldn't be if she was just some weirdo pop star, like Lady Goo, but they promote these whack jobs. I mean, this Keisha's been on the Today Show, which seems to give her legitimacy to the masses, that she's okay. Or she's on the late night shows with different people. I mean, and she's out to lunch. I mean, just take a look. I mean, I played a few clips a while ago about her Born to Die Young. I mean, right in there it says evil. And she is, yeah. See, we have a group is challenging the anti-Christian crusade of removing references to God in the U.S. military. Iranian Christians face lashings for communion wine. National groups, and another article is national groups send a prayer to the High Court, so they're going to rule on prayer in meetings. Let's see, Georgetown class, which is a Catholic school, requires work with an abortion group. Americans use the internet to abandon children adopted from overseas. And this one Liberian girl who proved to be too much for her parents, they advertised her online and gave her to a couple they'd never met. Days later, she goes missing. Oh, man. I mean, see, the new U.S. ambassador to the Vatican slams pro-life CRS critics in the first week. We have this Ken Hackett, the former head of the Catholic Relief Services. Let's see, Hackett received $320-some thousand in reportable compensation in 2011 and $325,000 in 2010 from the CRS. Let's see, judge blocks part of the Texas abortion regs, but the 20-week abortion ban still goes into effect, and so that's good. 3 new North Carolina churches have dropped the Boy Scouts of America because of their homosexual views now. I mean, when did homosexuality have anything to do with being a Boy Scout? When I was one, we never talked about girls or anything. That's not what it's all about. See, but that's the hypersexualization of our culture. All done by design to take us down. Keep your kids away from the Planned Parenthood launches a mobile sex ed app. Let's see. Anyway, so if you can't see things going to hell, your head is in the sand. We are living in the book of Revelation. The key to the book of Revelation is Alpha and Omega, first and last. In the middle is their time, and that's how the book is laid out. Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. False flag operations, there's nothing new from the days when those terrorists attacked our city and burned it, and Nero laughed and blamed it on the Christians. Nothing has changed. We're coming up now, the 50th year anniversary of one of the greatest false flag operations done right in our face, the Kennedy assassination. This is his press secretary at Parkland Memorial that morning, pointing to the entrance wound, which is in the front, which is exactly what you'd expect from the other shooter. The other shooter, which the government, for those of you who don't remember, even admitted in a report published in August of '79 that there were multiple shooters. So it was a conspiracy. Sorry if that's news to you. But watch this now. Right here. His head is clearly hit in that front right and goes back and to the left. And which was exactly what Eisenhower warned us about, the military-industrial complex speech. You can watch that online or on my website. I've got links to the speech, both the video and the written text to read it. And he warned us of a scientific technological elite, which we see unfolding right now before our eyes. And speaking the truth in revolution, in deceitful times is a revolutionary act. And people love lies. I mean, they just love them. They love them everywhere, in all facets of our life, which is what Eisenhower said. It would get into every facet of our life, from the political, educational, and even the religious side. And the fake left-right paradigm, we talked about that before. Get out of it. There's good in both, and the leaders in both are corrupt as hell. And this is just the new liar in chief. They'll throw him under the bus as soon as they're done with him. But he placates the left. And this is what he really thinks of you. I mean, he's not giving you the finger by accident. Any different than Ben will give you the finger later on. I've been very clear on this matter. You must buy the insurance you don't want on my website that doesn't work, or I will fine you. I mean, and these people who really bought into it like it was a good deal, including the leaders of the Catholic Church. Of course, right away they found out that, oh, this isn't so good. And remember what Pelosi said earlier. Oh, we just have to pass a bill so we can find out what's in it. There's nothing good for us in it. He's a front man for eugenicists. Their goal, it's not a coincidence how sick we're getting in this country. It's a plan. We've gone into that before. Oh, are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Tea Party? And we're not talking about the fake Tea Party that Karl Rove tried to take over. And when Obama couldn't take over the 99 percenters, we saw what he did to them. He crushed them. Because that's what it is. But there's good people who would be considered the left or liberals and who are conservative. We have a lot of core values, and the thing that they don't want is us coming together and to debate our differences in a civilized manner. They want war. They want chaos. That's the order out of chaos. It's just crazy. Now, this is an interesting thing. You know, Ted Cruz, they're trying to make him out as the point man for this, you know, for the anti-Obama, the other side, let's say. And he has some stuff that's good. But remember what Lenin said. Best way to deal with your opposition is to take it over. And it's interesting that his wife is a member of Goldman Sachs, who is up to their necks in all this crap that's going on. So I'm a little leery of this guy. And I don't know that any of them, quite frankly, anyone in politics, has the guts to stand up to a large false flag operation, which is what they'll do. I mean, and then they'll make you stand up, and the country will just knee-jerk. I mean, no one's standing up about Boston. That's so phony. Colorado, I mean, the one at Sandy Hook was a little bit better done, but Colorado's totally fake, and so is Boston. Oh, here's a good article. Pre-crime, the TSA now spies on you 24/7, even before you fly. So hopefully I'll be able to get on to a flight here next year. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. Government, this is a quote from George Washington. Government is not reason. It is not eloquence. It is force. And force, like fire, is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. And this is about the military, who's being purged right now. It's something we've been talking about for a while. Purged of good people. They say here that George Washington and our founding fathers would not be welcome in today's military. And the NSA, you know, those guys are like spying on everything. What do we have on that action here? Okay, we have Brazil and Germany today join forces to press for the adoption of a UN General Resolution that promotes the right of privacy on the Internet, making the first major international effort to restrain the NSA's intrusions into the online communications of foreigners, according to diplomatic sources familiar with the push. We also, one of the things they're trying to do is to prevent cyberspace from being used as a weapon of war. They also call this a breach of international law. Well, of course, it's been going on for a long time. I played that stuff from that whistleblower within there. It was written up, over 15 years ago and passed in the Telecommunications Act back in '96 under Clinton. I mean, that's how long ago this stuff has been going on. And they know they're spying. It's just sort of come out into the open now, and more people are just learning about it. But because people love denial. Oh, they're really not doing that. Come on. We don't want to deal with that. That'd be uncomfortable to deal with the truth. And this is the BRICS setting up an alternate internet to, and we've got some stuff coming up later about some other ways. We're getting taken out of the picture by design. Something I've been telling you about for a long time. You know, these people around the country, I mean around the world, are getting ready. This is a story about Gates vaccinating more people. He's also, because they're big into Monsanto, But he loves us. He's not going to, he doesn't want to hurt us. They're for children. Less and less children is what they're really for. A guy who's intimidated by MS-DOS, that's a hijacked program. I mean, Paul Allen bought MS-DOS for $50K. The re-engineered, there was a big lawsuit about 20 years ago about that. I mean, that's historical history of how Microsoft got founded. They would have just been also-rans with their basic program on the side. The program was called CPM. And this story, this is like Welcome to America. There was a problem, and so they shut down an area of California, and they're just, hey, give us your papers, buddy. Who are you? And this is going to become rampant. And the TSA, we've done stuff with their Viper squads, they're going to move out into everywhere, into malls. I mean, it's going to become worse than the Soviet Union was. And the spying that's going on within our own homes. I mean, they've openly admitted that in mainstream news. And I was talking to a young woman just last weekend, and she was an attractive woman. And she mentioned that she flew, and I mean, I didn't get into the personals of it, but she did say that she didn't go through the scanners because, I mean, you're getting that heavy-duty dose of radiation. It can affect your children. I mean, it's much more powerful than the dental x-rays where they put that big lead shield over you. You're not getting shielded at all, and they love to grope them. That's another thing. I mean, where's the indignation about that? Now, she didn't know. I mean, she was familiar with the underwear bomber story, but she didn't know that that guy was on the no-fly list, and he didn't have a passport flying internationally. That's how fake it all is. I mean, where are our politicians to save us? Hell no. Look at that. They're grabbing her boobs. I've played you the stuff on Miss America, getting jammed up into her private parts and literally almost crying because she shot a video of it right away in the airport while it was still raw and fresh. And that Israeli model talking about how the TSA agent was really getting into feeling her up. And this little girl is crying. You can see the video of that little girl after she'd gone through the scanner, which is so bad because women, all of their eggs that they'll have for their life are in their bodies. This is such a disgrace that this goes on. And the silence from our leaders. You will pay one day. Not for me, but when you stand before our Lord, He is going to judge you harshly for being so comfortable. You people are pathetic that you allow this to, well, hey, they're not groping my children. You people are disgusting. This has nothing to do with keeping us safe. It has everything to do with getting us prepared to be slaves. That's what this is all about. Oh, it's for our protection. Listen, I went through Israeli security. They've never had a problem in Israel. The only problem is going to be when the government, whether it was the shoe bomber or the underwear bomber, they've always had ties to the government. That's who's going to bring it. That's who I'm worried about. Oh, what do we have in the global warming baloney? Let's see. The world invested almost $1 billion a day in limiting global warming last year, but the total figure was like about 359, was slightly down from last year and barely half the 700 billion per year that the World Economic Forum has said is needed to tackle climate change. Oh yeah, but remember, climate change is really global warming. Well, no, wait a minute. It's not warming. They've openly admitted it's not warming, and that it's been flat. Look it up if you haven't seen that. We showed you that the ice fields from the Arctic from last year to this year, record amounts. I mean, this is just crazy what's going on. But this is a planned takedown. Oh, and the World Economic Forum, remember, told you a couple years ago, maybe 3 now. Oh yeah, folks of the world, you just need to give us $100 trillion so we'll take care of your problems. The politicians are nothing but liars. The propaganda ministers that parade as the whores on TV. At best, they're morons. Look what that little girl, well, we'll get into that, into the economic part. Anyway, I mean, this is just a complete disgrace. And Monsanto and the GMO story, I mean, the ads have just been ludicrous. But that's how it paid off. And there's a lot of people, they probably believe their own manure. But hey, if it's so good, why aren't you advertising that it is? That should be a selling point. Hey, here's the genetically modified food. You want it. And they go, well, the costs will go up. Well, you know, one of a fellow I worked with who was a person who was just getting out in the print for newspaper business as a journalist, did an article. This was in Idaho, how people who were farming potatoes would make more money, but the farmers, by farming organic potatoes, because they reduced their costs for pesticides and stuff, and they'd be able to sell it for a little bit more. And the amount that the farmers get raises our food costs by just a few pennies. The bulk of the cost comes in processing, shipping, and selling it in the marketplace. It's all the middlemen. The farmers can get a decent rate, and that's why they want to get rid of the little farmers. So it's all big corporate farms. This is a total takeover. Monsanto said that. They want everything to be their stuff. I mean, these guys are loony bins. These are Neros on steroids. Think of the Roman Empire, the worst and most decadent part of it. It's worse now. Because now we have better understandings of science and abilities to manipulate things. So it's not nearly as crude. And this is not going to be an easy problem to clean up. You know, you talk about pollution. This is pollution. Because it's out there in the biosphere. It's going to be so hard. I mean, they've taken over corn, and that's one thing. The Mexicans have outlawed all growing of genetically modified foods. So there is some backlash, and Europe is also really cutting back on it. But hey, it's good for us, and through our foreign policy, we are pushing this crap on some of these nations that we've been invading and taking over, and pushing genetically modified foods in Africa. I mean, when you begin to learn the hellhole that we call the federal government and what they're doing, it's a complete disgrace. We need to get rid of our politicians. And here they are openly admitting, Big Pharma, that's part of who wrote the Healthcare Act, is, oh yeah, 100,000 deaths yearly. We have another thing on some of our health stuff. The EPA actively encourages children to increase their risk of dying from cancer. That's an article we have. It just goes about and shows it, but it's okay. And the mad science in the name of geoengineering, which sort of goes in with the global warming stuff. Delusional scientists may destroy human civilization because of the toxic stuff that they're dumping into it. Radiologicals, barium salts, heavy metals like aluminum, getting into the soils. We have historical data shows vaccines are not what saved us. You know, it's been hygiene. It's been more about indoor plumbing. It's had more to do with our increased lifespan in the last 67 years, and it's actually topped out and now is reversing because of the crap we're eating. You know, this is not going to be good. And, well, but they're honest. Hey, it's toxic by ingestion. It was going to cost us a lot of money to get rid of this fluoride, which is a byproduct of phosphate mining. So, hey, let's just package it and sell it. Yeah. You know, it attacks the nervous system and your teeth. That's why they had to cut back on the amount they put in, because it was so over the top. So they had to cut it back so it's not so obvious. Silent weapons for quiet wars. And yeah, here's what it says on the your toothpaste. That's how I finally woke up to it, because it's just hard to believe that this is just so over the top and crazy. And of course, Building 7, the magic building that magically fell down on September 11th. Nothing hit it. No planes hit it, no nothing. Over 100 yards away from the nearest building, buildings in between that building and the towers that were heavily damaged from falling debris but didn't collapse. But this building, which housed a lot of interesting records, SEC records, Security and Exchange, a lot of files just got disappeared. Yeah, over 1,000 feet tall. Or no, over 500 feet tall. I'm sorry. Over 500 feet tall, about 50 stories, almost. If you want to know more about it, here's some real people that have put their lives on the line and their livelihoods. I wonder how many people would give up a six-figure job to tell the truth. How many good Christians would do that? Not many. Not many. Why do I know that? Because you're already doing it. You've already made your decision. You've already sold out. And it's only going to get harder to change. If you want to learn about the story of Kevin Ryan, he lost his job for not being willing to go along with the lie, which is the official story of 9/11. But hey, that's how this works. The banksters are working. They set this all up. They recruit the brightest people who are just whack jobs who will carry out their plans for them and run this. Whether it's people like Obama, and we have the war, we have the deliberate dumbing down of America. Let's see, in 23 advanced economies, U.S. adults rank 21st in math skills. When I was a kid, we were in the top 5. This has happened by design, not by accident. See, and then they talk about, remember, in the military, they're getting rid of anyone who's against their plan. And a SEAL veteran, military leaders are being asked if they will disarm Americans. I wanted to play a clip of that, but we really don't have the time because I want to get into a lot more other financial stuff. We're gonna spend some time here on the financial news here of what the hell is going on. And then of course the Pentagon's weapons buyers say cuts may delay aircraft plans, and of course any cuts to the defense establishment or the security establishment, oh, there's going to be more terrorist attacks. See, that's the mafia. Just like how the mafias would go in and shake down store owners. Hey, you need some protection money. Well, who do I need protection money from? You need it from us. and it costs gringo. Or we're going to, hurt you. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to hurt you. See what's some of their other stuff. These guys have been up to. Oh, here's an interesting story in health news. A girl smuggled into Britain to have her organs harvested. By the wealthy. They love to throw that. There's a bunch of stuff going on in that vein about that. The Census Bureau, welfare recipients outnumber full-time workers. And before he leaves office, Obama will have single-handedly doubled the nation's total debt. And if you want to check out the strategy, because this has all been penned. These were some guys from Chicago. Oh, that's where Obama's from. It's called the Cloward-Piven theory. You can look that up. Something that's not going to see the light of day. Over Unity nuclear fusion breakthrough may make today's nuclear power plants obsolete. Well, they have been obsolete, and Obama's new ones are definitely obsolete because they are the old style. 90% of them are leaking. We don't have any place to put it. Plus, they're suppressing a lot of technology. We don't have to have such a dirty world. But you go, well, Obama's for it. He's been promoting green energy. What do you mean? Solyndra. Those guys were given $500 million and didn't do anything with it. And there was a story we did when he first got in about a company who wanted to hire 100 employees and get some startup capital. They wouldn't give him any, so they went to China. The Chinese gave them the capital they wanted. The Chinese are the largest makers of solar panels in the world. Of course, China is meant to take us over. Some other economic, well, maybe we'll get into more economic news when we get to Ben. I like him giving us the finger. Here we go. Okay, now we'll look at some more economic news. Let's see, Obama halted the NSA spying on the IMF and World Bank, though. Well, because that's the leaders. We don't want people knowing what they're actually doing. Oh, and Goldman Sachs pays Hillary nearly $500,000 for 2 speeches. See, that's how they pay off the politicians. That's like Billy Boy Clinton, who sold us out by getting rid of Glass-Steagall. He made mega bucks as soon as he got out of the presidency. What's another one? Let's see. Rand Paul is going to stand against Yellen as the new whore for the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank, which just prints money out of thin air. Wouldn't you like to do that for a day? That's all it would take, and you could be retired. Some of the other economic news until he gets an audit, the Fed bill gets a Senate vote, up or down. And of course, you know the Democrats will be against that because they're in power now. I mean, the Republicans only became conservative when they're out of power. What else we had? We have the story of Fox News. Says all hell could break loose today. Today's November 1st, because they're going to start cutting back on food stamps. And I'm for cutting back on food stamps, but not by cutting back the program. I mean, you can go after the fraud and waste, because there is some of that. But by getting people back to work, which neither party is really doing, because that's not the plan. The plan is to deindustrialize America. And like I said, the Census Bureau said welfare recipients outnumber full-time workers. That was what the plan was. It's to bankrupt America, get everyone dependent, and then cut off the government checks. Even though they don't have to, they'll cut it off to create chaos. And like Fox News, the great conservatives, who are on top of everything, money-wise, they'll tell you that we've spent $3.7 trillion on food stamps for the last 5 years. What they won't tell you is that the banksters, this international group of banksters, have stolen almost 10 times that. Like I try to tell people, because most people can't wrap their heads around a lot of what's going on, so I make it really simple for them. Enough money's been stolen, and we've played clips of that with Ben telling you, no, I'm not telling you where the money went, right from the very beginning, and all the crazy stuff that's gone on. But enough money's been stolen to have paid off everybody's mortgage, all consumer debt, all credit card debt, all student loans. Every average American would have been debt-free with enough money to pay off the federal debt. So you better learn, imagine the boom we would have been in. So you better learn how the game is played. And I'd like to play a little clip here from someone who studies this stuff, who broke the plan, leaked the IMF and World Bank documents over a decade ago of how they were going to bankrupt us and take us down, just like they've taken down other countries in the world. Let's listen to Greg Palast.
People need to listen to what you have to say. Give us the inside, sir.
Well, here's the story, Alex. I mean, it might sound like the government has really whacked J.P. Morgan Chase for a lot of money. They've agreed to settle charges of fraud, and they've pled guilty to fraud under California state charges, and they're paying $13 billion. Now, that might sound like a lot of money. To Chase, they had to, it's headed by Jamie Dimon, the man that is known as Obama's favorite banker. Well, Obama's favorite banker has now pled guilty to fraud, is paying $13 billion, and so he's now got to hunt up all that cash between his sofa cushions. J.P. Morgan Chase is now the biggest bank in the United States, and it is it's handling over $1 trillion. Some of that's real money, and some of that is stuff they kind of made up. $13 billion may sound like a big fine that the Justice Department has levied on this company to avoid a trial. It's not. Not when considering the crime that they've actually now pled guilty to. What is the crime? It's fraud upon the international mortgage market. It brought down, this is what brought down the system in 2008, beginning in 2007 to 2008. What J.P. Morgan did was it lent out, and with their co-conspirators, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America's countrywide unit, they lent out tens of billions of dollars in subprime mortgages, where people were hooked in at 3% and 4%, and then found that their mortgage payments were tripling at 11%. Now, you know, one of their claims, oh, people ran out of money, they couldn't afford these mortgages. No, most people can't afford a tripling of their mortgage. But what they said was they gave out mortgages that they knew would go kablooey. They deliberately sold these mortgages. They packaged them up. J.P. Morgan lent out the money, or Bank of America countrywide unit lent out the money, but rather than take the risk on the mortgages, they packaged them up into what they call into securities. They securitized them, as they called it. And they sold these securities to pension funds in America, Florida.
And then they and others like Timberwolf made jokes about how they were selling their customers, quote, SH you know what.
Yeah, I mean, they were bags of feces, and they sold them to the Swiss Railway pension fund. I know that because my partner's dad was once had a pension from the Swiss Railway. Towns in Finland melted that bought this stuff. And, of course, the California State Pension Fund, teachers' pension and government pensions.
So they're getting a slap on the wrist for stealing trillions. What's the inside word on what the next big shoe is to drop?
Well, the big problem is that with the $13 billion settlement, and remember, the damages are about $1 trillion. $1 trillion, okay? And they're settling for $13 billion. The big problem for me is not that they're getting away with murder on the cheap. It's that the game will continue. In other words, there is no move. J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon, I mean, Obama, here's a guy who's signing off that pleading guilty to criminal fraud, paying $13 billion in fines. And Obama recently said that he wished that every bank had a Jamie Dimon running it. Can you imagine?
Wow.
What I would like is a guy who's now pled guilty to one of the biggest financial crimes in history, according to his own Justice Department.
That'd be like having a pyromaniac in charge of the fireworks factory.
Yeah, exactly. So So what you got is the arsonist in charge of the fire department, and Obama thinks it's just we just need more guys like that. Now, the biggest problem, besides the bad joke of it, the sick joke of that, is that they are not doing anything to implement. Like you said, there are these hedge funds in the shadows, but not only in the shadows, but under the aegis of J.P. Morgan Chase. And in other words, the deregulation, the decriminalizing of mixing your bank account with casino operations of investment banks is not being changed. It was the destruction of the Glass-Steagall Act back in the Clinton administration under the guidance of Larry Summers and, of course, Citibank chieftain Robert Rubin, who went from the Treasury, went from Goldman Sachs to the Treasury back to Citibank. J.P. Morgan did not commit this crime alone. And I'm saying crime because now it's official. They pled guilty to criminal charges. They did not commit this crime alone. Like you say, they're big hedge funds, and they are not saying, okay, the hedge fund gamblers have to stay away from the public's money, that your savings account, which is guaranteed by public funds. They're still letting these guys gamble with that money. When those securities were opened up, and they turned out to be bags of, as you say, bags of feces, the entire market for housing collapsed in the United States. People lost trillions of dollars in value in their homes. They couldn't buy new homes. They couldn't sell their homes. We had 2 million foreclosures. This is not just a financial scam that, oh, well, yeah, that's a lot of money, those big guys, and they still got bonuses, and let's complain about it. I'm talking about something more serious. We had 2 million people who lost their homes.
Put it in layman's terms, we're talking about hundreds of trillions of dollars, conservatively, of counterfeit garbage that they've now bought stuff with. And then we're saying, hey, stop that. And they go, we've infected everything. So instead of them getting in trouble, it's worse. They get bailed out and get more power because, well, they're the guys that did it, so let them manage it. And then they're using it to take advantage of us while J.P. Morgan and all these groups finance the police state. They're the ones, every time I turn around, that are lobbying to get rid of our freedoms. Well, of course, because if we have our system where we run the government, they could end up at Nuremberg. So they also have an appetite to set up an authoritarian endgame so they feel safe. I mean, they've got to be dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't ignore the idea of the NSA spying with the need to make sure that no one is protesting against the J.P. Morgan's takedown of our Treasury. Don't forget, we came very close to having Larry Summers, the guy that basically body blocked any regulation of J.P. Morgan's derivatives activity. And by the way, he was on their payroll. Obama wanted to make him head of the Federal Reserve.
And again, that shows the arrogance of these people. That was like trying to have Kissinger as the head whitewasher on the 9/11 Commission.
Okay. Anyway, don't let them stick a chip in you, my friend. They're going to try. Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes its laws. The Rothschild family is probably the richest. Bill Gates has never been the richest man in the world. Sorry. You better take a look outside the frying pan because they are turning up the heat. The take-home message from 9/11 is that it was Mahatma Gandhi's, the anniversary of his first protest. Look that up on the Gandhi Institute. We must be the change that we wish to see in the world. Seek the truth and bear witness to it. This baby is 7 weeks old. This is a human being. They have the instinct to move away from that suction tube when it comes in. This will stop. Remember earlier the story about moving it back to 20 weeks? This is a 22-week-old baby, which is a legal abortion in most places in the country. What was this little girl's choice? That's a little girl. It's her body. It's not your body. That's her body. What was her choice? You can wait a few months. You can wait 9 months and have the child. And here's what Margaret Sanger said. I mean, she's nothing but a complete and total racist. I mean, that's what she is. You know, blacks are weeds. And here she is. The most merciful thing that a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. And the Belgium court is trying to make that legal. And here she is giving a speech at a KKK rally. They loved her. There's a reason that Planned Parenthood is in minority neighborhoods. How fortunate for governments that the people they administer don't think. Jesus sees what's going on. There will be change that we're all going to have to deal with. I guarantee it. And it's not going to be pretty. Through prayer and fasting, we can change the world and lessen the spanking that is coming. We're already too far gone. There's going to be a spanking. Blood is going to flow like never seen in human history since the deluge. My name is Tim Bernard. Infowars.com is one of the premier alternative websites in the world. There's my website. One of the ways you can help wake people up is to tell them about the show. Mondays, 6 to 7. That's on channel 77. Fridays, 1 to 2 in the afternoon. And also Friday night, 1 a.m., midnight to 1 a.m. All that information is available on my website. All the shows are available 24/7 on my website with plenty of more work and stuff to look at there. And remember what my Sioux brothers said. Mataka wea we seen. We are all related. Have a good week.